All right, the first thing we're going to take a look at reviewing is adding decimals. Okay, so you can see I've got two decimals here, and I'm going to add these together. Now, when you write this down in your paper, the first thing to remember is we want to write them up and down. Okay, and some people think, oh, I've got to line the numbers up. Don't line up the numbers, line up the decimals. So, when I do this here, all right, now this becomes my problem. I've lined it up. I'm going to fill in a 0 as a placeholder here. And now I just add. So I start on the right. 2 plus 0 is 2. Okay. 7 plus 8 is 15. And I'm going to carry the 1. I'm going to put my decimal. I just carry my decimal down here. 4 plus 7 plus 1 is 8. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So my answer becomes 18.52. Let's take a look here at some subtracting of decimals. So here we have two decimals again, and I'm going to take this number away from this number. So just like we did when we were adding, we're going to line up the decimals, and then we're going to put in any zeros for placeholders that we need. And now we're just going to subtract, so I'm going to write out my problem just like this. All right, now remember that I'm going to need to do some borrowing here. Okay, I can't take 2 away from 0, so I borrow from that 7. And that's going to turn it to a 6 and bring the 1 over here. So now I get 10 minus 2 gives me 8. And now I have 6, and I can't take 8 away from that, so I'm going to borrow from this 4. So I borrow 1 from the 4, and I'm going to bring that 1 over here. So now I have 16 minus 8, and that gives me 8. Don't forget your decimal point. And now I have 3 minus 3 is 0, which I can do. And then 1 minus nothing is 1. So my answer becomes 10.88. The last thing we're going to look at today is multiplying decimals. So here again, we're going to write this problem out, one on top of the other, and it'll be a multiplication problem there. And remember, my first step is I'm going to take the 1s and multiply them. So I'm going to go 3 times 7, which is 21. So I put my 1 here, and I carry my 2. Okay, and now I'm going to take this 3, and I'm going to times it by 4. And that gives me 12. And then I add on this last 2, which gives me 14. So I put that here. Now I'm moving over one place value spot. I'm going to multiply this 6 by the 7 and the 4. So remember, before I do that, I have to put my 0 right here. Okay, so the 0's there. And I also like to cross out what I carried so it doesn't confuse me. Now I'm going to go 6 times 7, which gives me 42. Put my 2 there, and I carry my 4. And now I'm going 6 times 4 is 24, plus 4 is 28. So I go 28 there. And when I'm all done, I add those up, and I get this right here. Now there's one last step. I noticed there was a decimal in here. So that means there's going to be a decimal needed in my answer. So to figure out where the decimal goes, take a look and see how many digits are after the decimal. And I see there's one digit after the decimal. It's a 3. So there's one digit after the decimal. That means in my answer here, I have to place my decimal, so there'll be one digit after the decimal. So if I place it here, there'd be 2 digits. The 6 and the 1 would be after it. If I place my decimal here, there's going to be 1 digit after it, that 1. So I'm going to place my decimal right there, and there's my correct answer.